All right, guys, back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr. Some of you have been looking at us for the last 2.5 hours on our members-only watch-along that we did for Kentucky and Alabama. Some of you joining in for the first time to get our thoughts on the game. As we told our members, we will probably say a lot of the same things we did in the watch-along, but we'll kind of wrap it up into a bow. Alabama, 102-97, Max. We put the poll out. What was that? Sometime this week we put the poll out. Said, are both teams going to get to 100? We almost got there, but not quite. But obviously, okay, so all of a sudden, now we have a Southeastern 16 watch-along curse for Kentucky. Let's remember, I'm the only person who picked Kentucky, so we should have known it was not going to go in the Cats' favor when that happened. But now you look at the setup here again. This was a game, as we were talking, going through it, Max, for like, just when you're like, okay, maybe one of these teams are going to maybe push it out, it was never going to happen. You always knew this game, they were going to trade blow for blow here in terms of the offensive numbers. But I think that ultimately what this came down to, and sort of the thing we mentioned, Alabama just, I think, executed better. They took advantage, I think, of more open shots, whereas I think Kentucky had some tough contested shots. We mentioned that, talking about how Kentucky clearly was trying to sort of get into that physicality a little bit early on. They weren't getting the calls in some of those, and you could tell as the game progressed, a little bit more frustration, and then obviously just the foul trouble, right? The different rotations for Kentucky weren't there because you were subbing a guy in and out every 2 or 3 minutes because you're like, we don't want him to get his third or fourth or whatever. And Alabama took advantage of that. I mean, Grant Nelson, as I know you're going to talk about, was tremendous in this game. Mark Sears made a ton of big plays late, and that was kind of the story here for this one.
Yeah, coming from a Alabama perspective, if you don't turn them over, which has been their Achilles heel so far, if you don't turn them over and they make their threes, 13 to 34, 38.2%, if those are combined, it's going to be tough to beat Alabama no matter who you are. If Alabama is able to take care of the ball and they hit their threes, because you already know they're going to have the relentless offensive rebounding and that rotation of bigs. So if they get those other two taking care of the rock and hitting threes, it's a tough team to stop. Doesn't matter who you are. But we were talking a lot about Andrew Carr's fouls and kind of the matchup that Grant Nelson was able to take advantage of. Guys, this was Grant Nelson's best game as a member of Alabama. It's season high and last year. Career high at Alabama. His previous was 24, 25 tonight. Double-double with 11 rebounds also. And then the other thing was Mark Sears, 9 assists, only 1 turnover. Huge. That was one of the number one things we were talking about coming into the game. And so you have a front court that won their matchups and a backcourt that took care of the ball. You get 2 threes from Youngblood, 3 threes from Phylon, 2 threes from Nelson, 2 from Holloway. Everyone was getting in on it. But like you said, Kentucky maybe like there was a few possessions there offensively where we were like, you could have gotten a better shot than that. You're kind of playing into Alabama's hand. But I mean, I'm not coming away from this at all being like, we were so wrong about Kentucky being a top. Like, no, I think this was a fantastic game. 2 of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah, I mean, again, when we were talking about it in the watch along, it was sort of I kept saying, I get why Kentucky was doing that in terms of like maybe how they were approaching things offensively, but I did think there were some times where, if you look back at it, maybe we find a few more ways to try to get a set play to get a Koby Brea, a wide open 3 or something like that. Whereas it did feel like, again, sort of the physicality of Alabama, whether it was, Big Cliff, Diabate, Nelson, whoever, it was when you're getting bumped every time, and you're trying to make plays, inside the paint, that can be frustrating. We thought there were a couple plays in there, where they took some tough shots, Kentucky did. Whereas it seemed like Alabama kept getting easier shots. And that kind of was the story here, was that it just felt like Alabama penetrate and could kick it out and kind of get what they wanted. And that was the difference. They made more shots. And here's the thing too, right? We came in talking about Alabama was only shooting, 31.9% from 3 or something like that. I mean, they shoot 38% in this game. They go 13 to 34. So it's still, it's not maybe one of those vintage Alabama type performances, but like that's still a much higher percentage, at least based on maybe shot attempts than they've had this season. So that was a big part of it too. They just started hitting open shots, and sometimes the game is that simple. And quite honestly, it didn't feel like Kentucky got a lot of open shots, which I think you have to credit Alabama for, especially when it got into those crucial moments. Now, again, they missed some, but it was, one of those, and I just thought that they did. They took some tough shots. They missed some open shots, but I just thought Alabama was the better team offensively. And what do you know? Like, this was the kind of game where we figured who was going to win. Probably the better team offensively. And Alabama, I think, was that. Even if you look at some of the percentages, you can say, well, Kentucky shot 41% from three. They shot 80% from the free throw line. Got offensive rebounds. But it was maybe the timing, too, of those shots and the offensive execution. I thought was a big part of it in this one for sure. So,
yeah, and when you look at Kentucky's offensive production, I think it was Jaxson Robinson he was either 2 for 2 right away or he was 2 for 3 right away. He had 2 quick buckets and then only makes 1 3 like the next 35 minutes. So they kind of shut off Jaxson Robinson. Still has 11, but he was on a tear coming in the game. And then Koby Brea, you only let him get up 3 threes. So I mean, there was no space for him to really work. So I think the defensive game plan, I think that's just what we're going to see from Alabama. I mean, they still let up 41%, but what Kentucky was doing from outside coming into this game, a few of those threes were pretty late. And so I think that the perimeter defense moving forward, and hey, Alabama guarded the perimeter like that without Darian Reed, without Reitzel, without Millett. So I think that's just a really good note moving forward. If you're an Alabama fan, is, man, even down a few starters, we still went to one of the hardest plays to play in the country, and we put up 102. Not knocking Kentucky at all. I think it was still a fantastic team, top 10 team, but tip the cap to Alabama going on the road shorthanded.
Yeah, I think there are going to be some people who don't watch the game, as always the case. But like, there'll be people who don't watch the game and say, "Well, Alabama must have been terrible defensively because they gave up 97." But I thought when it mattered in some of those possessions, Alabama was pretty good in terms of like there was a lot of pressure, and I think that was again made a big difference in not being able to get the kind of shots probably Kentucky wanted in some of those. And just quickly on this, I was thinking about this earlier too. Came into the game, I think I could be wrong on this, but I think Lenardi said that if Alabama beat Kentucky, they were basically right there on the one line.
100%.
Yeah, and so I know they lost to Ole Miss. Yes, we understand that, but like I'm pretty sure he said that. So, and the Houston thing, what happened with Houston? Did they wind up winning that game?
Didn't it go to overtime?
No, I haven't kept up with that. We've been streaming so much since 11 a.m. I'm not sure, but it doesn't either way. Like that's kind of where Alabama is. So like even with the loss to Ole Miss, this helps you out because you get on a road win against Kentucky, who was top 10, right? So yeah, they kind of even each other out, and Alabama had one of the better resumes before that. So I think that's kind of how it goes. So yeah, I know there's some other things we had. Someone was asking about a blowout. Yes, 5 points on the Blake and Max scale does not qualify as a blowout. We're not gonna put that one in the catalog for the season. So yeah, that's for sure. But elsewhere in this game, and we will talk about Auburn, Georgia. If you're watching on the replay, we'll talk about that one when it goes final. But yeah, Max, I mean, what else kind of stood out for you here in this game? We mentioned, I think the one thing we talked about, it felt like there was a point where Kentucky had like 10 offensive rebounds. Alabama had like 5 or 6. Then all of a sudden, Alabama was up 13-10 in the offensive rebounding category, and they got some of those extra looks. Some of them wound up being kicked out for open threes, and I thought that was a big part, kind of some of those swings that you had throughout this game. But I do go back to the fact that we mentioned it, like the rhythm. Like it always felt like Alabama was in a good rhythm. Even when Kentucky would make a run, Alabama felt like they stayed in a pretty good rhythm. Whereas Kentucky, we mentioned the subbing in, subbing out. Well, this guy just got another foul. You got to take him back out. It didn't feel like Kentucky really ever got to that rhythm we're used to, and we say all that, right? They had 7 guys in double figures. But you just, that was one of the things I think that stood out, was it just, you were mixing and matching. I'm so curious to know, like, how many different combinations of lineups did they play today? So yeah, that was kind of one of those things that stood out for sure too. So.
Oh yeah, the one thing that I wanted to talk about was kind of just how offensively it felt like Kentucky was trying to beat Alabama at what Alabama does. A lot of quick shots, a lot of one-on-one. I felt like they could have, and it's so tough to do during the heat of a game, especially like down the stretch in the second half. But I felt like they could have gotten a lot cleaner offense in a 5-point game. That could really affect it. The other thing I wanted to say was, I don't think you can blame the refs whatsoever. I know there was a few iffy calls both ways, but I thought we've had some pretty bad ref games, and there was a few that I remember there was
now the Sears flop. We're gonna have to all agree on that one now.
That was bad.
But yeah.
But I mean, you had Andrew Carr in foul trouble, you had Jaxson Robinson in foul trouble, but then you had Mo D and Grant Nelson and Aiden Holloway. And so both teams were impacted by foul trouble. I don't want to think there's anything to do with that.
Well, let's keep in mind too, all right? If you're talking about the free throws, yes, like obviously there was a difference. We get that. But keep in mind, this isn't a single game thing. Alabama came into this game in the top 5 in the country in free throw attempts per game.
Yeah,
because and they brought they brought the thing up on the screen. We were laughing about it in the watch along. The deal is they wound up having I think 0 mid-range points in this game. All their points came from 3 to free throw line, right? That's exactly, or free 3, or just kind of the easy points in the paint, or the free throw line. Like that's the formula that Nate Oates works. Like that's what Alabama does under Nate Oates. And so again, it's somewhat, I feel like, misleading. Everybody just thinks of Alabama as a 3-point shooting team because they've had some of these ridiculous 3-point shooting games. But they're really more of a team that they're going to shoot a lot of threes, but they're going to get to the free throw line a lot based on the way that they play with their guards. And so, yeah, I mean, they came into the game shooting 27.2 free throws per game. That was 5th nationally. Yeah, behind Winthrop, South Dakota, Missouri, and Rhode Island. So I think it was inevitable they were going to get to the free throw line. There's no question. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, and I think, too, we talked about it in the stream, like it was one, too, where I think you could tell, like, Kentucky was getting frustrated by that. They were getting frustrated because Carr would pick up this foul, or Robinson picks up this foul, and all of a sudden you can tell, like, that body language changes a little bit because all of a sudden it takes you out of your game. You're like, man, if you don't think it's a foul, come on, and so it's just, it can be frustrating. Those guys never really got into a great rhythm. And again, I never felt like Alabama was out of rhythm. That was the thing too. Like even when Kentucky's making runs, I feel like Alabama continually just kind of played their game. And yeah, I think that's kind of what it comes down to. So
Anonymous brings up a good point here. Pope has to get this team to cause more turnovers because they play soft defense a lot. And it shouldn't be this way because they have 3 of the best defenders in the country, talking about Butler, Owe, and Amari Williams. I agree. We were saying during the live stream, we would say like, man, Alabama, that guy's wide open. Or like, you just let him right into the lane. Like there was no resistance. Let me check real quick. That's updated. Yeah. So Ken Pom has Kentucky right now as the number 2 offense in the nation, just scorching offense, 87th defense, and it keeps moving back. So, I mean, hey, we're halfway through the season now. So more than halfway. It's no question that the defense needs to pick it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, you look at the numbers now. We said it, they're going to get hit by this one in terms of those numbers going down. And yeah, too, I just thought that, communication, those kind of things, when you're playing Alabama, knowing the way how Mark Sears can kind of just maneuver his way everywhere, you got to communicate. And there were several plays I feel like you go back and like, even just switching on screens, that kind of stuff, you just sort of get caught off guard a little bit. And if you give Alabama, like we said, just even the tiniest window to sort of do their thing offensively, that they're going to take advantage of it. So, yeah. So, I mean, look, there's no other way to put it. Like, it's a great win for Alabama. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they come off their worst offensive performance, maybe the Nate Oates era, on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever that was. Come back, get a big win on the road. We talked about how well Kentucky had played at home, and still, even the point total for Kentucky still kind of stands. Like, look how many points they score at home. But yet, you know, again, it's like now Kentucky has played 106, 100, 102, 97 games at home in SEC play, and it's that same combination of teams, Max. Florida, Kentucky, Alabama, like just like last year. It's the same thing. So, oh, yeah, and look, Christopher brings up a good point here. Great to see Christopher jumping in. Hadn't talked to him in a while, but we talked about the Evan thing. Remember, we brought that up. I think we may have done it in the watch-along today, but how Alabama was not having those kind of runs you were used to. Today, did it multiple times. Was it 13-2, just like that? Like there was another one. So they had two of those big runs, and that was the difference too. So.
And we were saying as we were watching, we were like, whoever just misses misses two in a row, or you go 2-3 possessions without scoring, that's almost an automatic at least 5-0 run, just like that, just because you didn't put up points for 2-3 possessions. And it felt like Alabama just had one or two more, flip that. Kentucky had one or two more of those droughts where they went 2 or 3 possessions, and that's, you add maybe a missed shot here or there, you add a missed call here or there, and that's the game.
Yeah, and I don't remember how we worded it, but it was like Kentucky got closer shots sometimes, but they were tougher shots. Like, they were
Cliff was big.
Cliff was big, yeah, and that's what we said. Like the wingspan of Big Cliff. Yeah, like it impacted a lot of plays that would. I mean, he's not going to get credit for a block or a rebound, but like just him putting his arms up sometimes was impacting some of the things that they were doing defensively, and that made it tough for Kentucky on offense too. But yeah, so that was definitely a part of it, no doubt about it. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's where like if you're Alabama coming out of this. Good place to be. 3 of their next 4 games are at home now after 3 of the first or 3 of their last 4 on the road, which they won all 3 of those. Remember, they lost the home game to Ole Miss. They get Vanderbilt at home next week and LSU at home next week. Not knocking either one of those teams, but that's going to be the best schedule probably for anybody next week in terms of just the way it sets up on paper. And then, they go to Mississippi State, home against Georgia. So Alabama's got a chance to push this out a little bit if, they keep playing like this in terms of this SEC title race. Meanwhile, for Kentucky, obviously they've dropped their second game now, go to 3-2. Now 3 of the next 4 on the road for them. Yeah, so they get the week off, then it's 3 of the next 4 on the road. So they're at Vanderbilt, at Tennessee, home against Arkansas, which, by the way, we will be doing a watch-along for our members. If you want to join the It Just Means More tier, $3.99 a month. Yes, we're going to do a watch-along for Kentucky and Arkansas on February 1st. Next week's watch-along game will be Auburn and Tennessee in primetime next Saturday. But yeah, and then Kentucky has to go to Ole Miss after that. So tricky kind of area of the schedule here for the Cats. I mean, they played a tough schedule so far: Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, A&M, Alabama. But it doesn't really let up here in terms of some of these games they're going to play over the next couple weeks. So
yeah, and what's also crazy is just like. Because we keep saying like Alabama's not at their ceiling. They're not at their ceiling. I feel like we've been saying that for like 2 months now. They're still not. They're still not. Reed's missed past 2 games. So Alabama is such a hard team to kind of project because the reason I bring it up is because I saw a comment. No one except Auburn and maybe Tennessee is going to win consistently over the next 8 weeks. I was thinking, like, do you put Alabama in that group? And it's like, if they can get healthy, and you've got the full, well, besides Reitzel, obviously Reitzel's out, but if you can get the full squad going, and they're starting to hit some threes, and Big Cliff's finding his confidence, I'd put Alabama right up there.
Yeah, I think Alabama's going to be interesting because, stylistically, if we're looking at some of the things, right, that you're looking at that Ole Miss formula, who can replicate that Ole Miss formula? And when I look at Alabama's schedule, I'm like, there's not a lot of teams on there that can do that. Just that that style of play that Chris Beard and Ole Miss work, right? We talked about a team that forces a lot of turnovers. I mean, Missouri's one of those teams, right? That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, who else? Like Mississippi State forces some turnovers. I mean, Auburn, obviously, I think is a good defensive team, but they're not forcing a lot of turnovers. So it's like those are the kind of things I think you look at moving forward. I mean, certainly Tennessee's in that category. But, yeah, like that's what we always say with Alabama. Like it's just kind of one of those things where offensively, if they can just work their plan, which today I thought they just executed better, you know, offensively. And if they do that, they're so hard to beat. And yeah, I mean, look, Jared says it here. I think this is kind of one of those things where we said it in the watch along. I just did not think Kentucky's defense was very good in this game. And if they can just find a way to find something defensively more consistently, they're going to be okay. They are going to be just fine. But yeah, like it definitely was a bit glaring, I thought, in this game. And again, there were some things. Certainly, go back to the Florida game. You're going to point out the same kind of situations. But yeah, so we'll see. So yeah, I mean, Philip brings up a good point. Like Vanderbilt does force turnovers too. It just may be more of a matchup thing. So yeah. But.
Donovan's in here with it. All caps. Boom, more Eagle. Under 45 seconds left.
They got a chance here to finish this one off.
Look up at the screen and Bruce Pearl's losing his mind.
Bruce versus Pat Adams. That was the real game of the day. I feel like in the SEC. But yeah, that's a matchup right there that you're going to rank high on your must-see list. But yeah, Todd Pettiford been just this guy. My goodness. Yeah, what a player, man. So
good.
So good. All right. Anything else? You guys can obviously weigh in. We talked about Kentucky, Alabama for 20 minutes plus 2.5 hours.
It's like 3 hours of the game now.
I was going to say, we've been talking about this game since 11 a.m. this morning, but we're doing it for the public too. Hey, we're doing it for both you guys. You don't have to join the It Just Means More tier. We hope you would, but you don't have to. Just so you know, before we hop out, we are doing the primetime show tonight. We're not going to have multiple live streams during the day today as we usually do, just because the way the schedule flows, we're going to start the primetime show earlier. So the primetime show will start tonight around 7 p.m. Central, maybe a little bit after that. Right after Missouri, Arkansas, and Ole Miss, Mississippi State is when we'll start the primetime show, because there will then only be one game to go for the night, Texas A&M LSU, which just isn't one of the best games of the day on paper. So that's how we're going to do it. But what were you laughing at, Max?
Nicholas says, it's over for Kentucky. We won't win another game.
Well, Nicholas, if we want to start doing the bracketology, if Kentucky goes 3-15 in SEC play, I'm going to have them out of the bracket. But I don't think that's going to happen.
What are they now? A 4 seed? A 3 seed?
They had moved up to a
yeah, that's why I asked.
Yeah. So they'd be a 3 right now, probably.
3. I was going to say 3.
There's no shame. No, Zach, we're not leaving. We still have to talk about the Auburn and Georgia game. We're just waiting for it to finish before we talk about it. So, we're not leaving yet. We're not done here. We're just telling anybody who came for Kentucky, Alabama, that we've talked about it. I think we've given our thoughts, and yeah, big win for Alabama. Kentucky gets a week off to try to regroup, and yeah. So.
Yeah. The thing is for Kentucky, real quick, just looking at the schedule, you marinate on this one all week, and then you go to Vandy, and it'll probably change based on results from now. But KenPom has that projection as Kentucky 85, Vandy 82. Now, Vegas almost always gives Kentucky another point or two, but like that spread is probably going to be like 5.5 at Vandy. Mm-hmm. Same thing like Tennessee is. Obviously, there's going to be changes based on results, but what I'm trying to get at is you wait all week, then you go to Vandy, and then it's a Tuesday. So it's a Saturday into a Tuesday. It's not Saturday into Wednesday when you go to Tennessee. So pivotal, like little week and a half here for the Cats.
Yep, it is for sure. And this is what we mean. Like we said, there is going to be that separation. We've already seen it with some of these teams, and that's why we keep bringing up the fact that if you're one of these teams like Arkansas or Oklahoma, and all of a sudden you look up and you're 0-4. Man, it's not easy to get out of that this year. Like there would have been past years where it's like, hey, you got 2 or 3 games that are just gimmies, maybe. Not the case anymore. Like even South Carolina, we said, like South Carolina's not a gimme anymore. Like they're just not. So it's just, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, as we say, you don't want to let one loss turn into 2, turn into 3. Like that's the formula.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Alabama didn't today. They came out and got a win. Kentucky can't let that happen when they go to Vanderbilt. So yeah, but that's kind of your, the story here, I think right now. But yeah, so I think the takeaways from this game, Alabama can still be really good when it works its plan offensively. Kentucky's defense needs to get better. I don't think there's any question about that. And yeah, that's kind of where things sit. So it does look like Auburn is going to get the win over Georgia. It's a 7-point game, 31 seconds to go. We'll see how this goes here. I don't want to put the jinx on anybody, but by the way, some great comments today too. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Some really good, I think. And I know, like, listen, we know we have a lot of Kentucky fans that watch this. I think the response from Kentucky fans, like, you guys know your stuff. Like this was a tough game, probably to the takeaway in terms of the result. But yeah, like there are some things that if you just improve on those, it'll be fine. So.
The game was really decided. So at 5:13 left, Garrison makes a dunk to make it 81-81. 5 minutes left. After that, Phylon makes a layup. Modi splits a pair, 1-of-1, and then Youngblood makes a 3 in the next minute and a half. So it went from 81-81 to 87-81 in a matter of 3 possessions.
Yeah.
Then that was it. That was it right there. So, I mean, you take the whole entire game, every takeaway you have, bottle it up into, it was a tie game, 5 minutes left. The next 3 possessions,
oh boy,
is a 3 possession stop for Alabama, and they get points on each of those, and there's the game. Not enough time left after that.
Boy, I tell you, I don't know if this is regarding, you may be referring to like the AP poll or something, but I'm already thinking about our power rankings. I'm like, all these teams that went like 1-1 this week had a big win, but also had a loss. It's like, oh boy, where in the world do we rank these teams now? I don't even want to start thinking about power rankings yet. I don't. Like when we get at this point in the season where you do have like these kind of split type performances, what do you do? So we'll find out. But yeah. So anyways, all right. Let's see. So as soon as we get a winner here, because Georgia's trying to make this interesting.
Jeez.
But
it's been 30 seconds left for 10 minutes.
That's how it works these days. Every game is going to be 2.5 hours. I mean, let's just look. That's the new window. The new TV window needs to be 2.5 hours. There's just let's not act like it's a 2-hour game anymore. It's not. So, just not the way it works. But again, the rest of the day, if you guys are curious, you probably know when your team plays. Tennessee and Vanderbilt going to tip off here in about 15 minutes in Nashville.
Tight spread there.
Yep. You've got Florida, Texas. You've got Oklahoma, South Carolina. You've got Missouri, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and then A&M, LSU tonight. So, again, we'll be doing the primetime show tonight at around 7 or probably 7:15-ish. I say that, but I'm like, you know what? Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Missouri, and Arkansas, they're definitely going 2.5 hours. So maybe it's more like 7:30. When those games are over, we go live for our primetime show, which means we'll also come back to this game and the Auburn-Georgia game, wrap up any thoughts we had on those. And, yeah, we appreciate you guys. The Super Chat money, not exactly flowing the way it was previously, but it's interesting how it works, isn't it? Hey, I get it. But, hey, we say that. You gave us enough Super Chat money. You guys did on, Tuesday and Wednesday for about a couple months. So we'll let you slide on this one. But, all right, we're going to see what happens here at the end. But what a game for Todd Pettiford.
I was just going to say huge game for Pettiford. 5 of 7 from 3. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So.
Only 7 team assists, though, for Auburn. 10 team turnovers. Just goes to show how important Broom was passing the ball.
Yeah. Great court awareness. Probably one of the better, I think, in terms of big men I've seen in the SEC. Obviously, he's having a just ridiculous season, but his on-court awareness, especially I think offensively, like it's something for a big man. So,
Yeah.
what are the chances I have a voice after 8 p.m. tonight?
No shot.
No shot. Huh?
No shot.
Yeah.
Also, the story of Georgia at home so far has been their ridiculous free throw numbers, and Auburn is a team that fouls. He does.
Yep, we said that. Yep.
Are they? And the free throws are 18 to 18. So honestly, nothing there really. You would think Georgia at home would probably, in a 4-point game, would probably be leaning on the free throw line a little bit more than they are.
Yep. Yeah. It's a great one. I would super chat, but Nelson scored 13 points in 10 minutes in the game. Okay, I see what you're saying there. Yeah. All right. All right. We're going down to the final sequence here. At least maybe not. Well, it's going to be 3 with 8 seconds left.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, my goodness. You know what's going to happen. This game's definitely going to overtime, right? He's trapped. He is. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Tell me he didn't make it 3. I'm behind.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry, I don't try to do that. Like we joke at Chris about that, but I know you guys in the chat are seeing this right now.
All a few from the corner.
What in the world just happened in that sequence? Oh my, that was nuts. Like I couldn't stop it on that one. That sequence I thought was about to be overtime guaranteed, and that shot it barely. Oh, it just slipped out of his hands. It didn't even get hit. It just slipped out of his hands, I think. Oh, that ball was in too. So what's the call here? We got to check in time. Pat Adams at the monitor with 0 seconds left. I mean, come on, right? Zero chance.
Oh my gosh.
Zach, never call a game again. I didn't say the game was over, just for what it's worth. I did not officially give you the signature closing line, but I mean, now they got to figure out the time and all. It's just, yeah. So
it's got to be over now. No, it would just be a foul or something.
Well, but I mean, if there's time on the clock when they're making the call, then. But I mean, it just depends. So,
oh man,
I can't imagine there was time on the clock because I'm like, there's 5 seconds when he loses the ball. There's no way there's any time left on this foul call, right? There's no chance.
What a time to be a Southeastern Conference referee right now.
Maybe 0.1 or 0.2. They're going to put 0.6 on there. Okay. Well, that's enough time. That's enough time.
That is plenty.
That's enough time for a shot.
Did you see the Nick Martinelli Northwestern buzzer beater in overtime 2 days ago?
Yeah.
That was like 0.6 also.
I think I was looking at 0.2 here, I thought at most. So 0.6, a little bit higher. I mean, that's enough to get a shot off. So
that is plenty of time for a shot.
Shout out to Josh coming in to support his Tide. Yeah, wow. But I guess what was bonus? So if it's a foul, it's a free throw, right? So he's shooting free throws. So now
you can make the first, clang the second.
It's not double bonus, yeah. So it's just 1 and 1. Okay, so if it's just 1 and 1, right? There's no way. I mean, how it's not even possible. You understand what I'm saying? Like, even if you miss, there's no time to get the ball out and take a shot. So, how do you even?
It might
I'm
be
trying
done.
to think of this in my head.
It might be done.
Yeah, you can't. It's not possible here.
I mean, you'd have to purposely back iron.
Well, and hold on, I say that you've got to make the first. There's no question you have to make the first. But I think the point is I don't know if you can even tip it at that. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's going to be tough. Even for a tip.
Give me free basketball.
You almost have to. It's kind of one of those tough things. So
I love the free basketball saying, as if it's not already free.
Everybody's telling me to shut up. So yeah, anybody just gets a hand on it. Again, that's the thing. It's okay. Here's what I was trying to say. The game's over, but it's the angle of trying to tip it. You can't. I think at that kind of point in the game, it's an angle where it's really hard to tip. Unless a guy just completely doesn't box his man out.
There's going to be time left.
Look, there was 0.6. There's no chance that this is anything more than 0.1 or 2.
What if you just you touch it into the
Yeah. So Sorry, Philip. Okay. I realized the way I said that was not the way I actually meant it. We have literally been live streaming for 3.5 straight hours. I apologize. My wording on that was not right.
I know.
Yes,
My lower back feels like Andrew Carr's right
I know.
now.
I haven't peed in 4 hours. It's okay. I'm doing the best I can here. But yes, you're right. I was trying to say it in a way that just did not come out right. Plain and simple. So it was just more of the thought on the 0.6 idea that if anyone just puts a body on someone, it's really hard to get that. I think at the rim, get that tip at the rim, maybe. I just think that it would make it tougher. But anyways, so that's all I was trying to say. Bruce is letting them have it. So, again, we have had 3 replays in the final, what? I don't even know what it's been. So,
if this is any indication of what Mississippi State Ole Miss is going to be tonight.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I don't even have words.
Yeah. No chance. So, okay. So, again, right, this can't be more than 0.2. It can't.
What is the minimum time possible to get a shot off? Isn't it like 0.4?
I think 3. I think you can make it happen in 3.
3?
But, I just don't. The ball gets touched. That clock had to roll, right? So it's the clock had to roll. It's 0.3. Okay. So
it's 0.3. Oh, good Lord. Here we go.
This is. I'm telling you, I don't know, man. It's a very strange thing here. So, I'm not saying anything, but oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my.
Don't tell me.
I'm sorry, but that should have never happened.
Don't tell me.
Wow. All right, now let's look at this. When he gets his hand on it here, let's look at this. But, here's the thing. I'm sorry, but even at that point, he grips the ball. In 0.3, the clock started a little bit late. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know, man. I think that's kind of a tough deal. Wow. I'm sorry. Man, when you get in those kind of scenarios where we're talking 0.2, 0.3 type ranges, man,
oh my gosh,
that's where it's that split second between the clock operator, man, there's a lot of room for error there. So a lot of room for error. Wow, incredible.
We're not gonna make it till tonight.
Auburn fans, I will never say you're gonna win that game again, because I can't outdo the officiating reviews. I don't think. So
what a game!
I don't think I can. Wow. All right. So Auburn holds on. We don't even know what we're saying right now. Max and I are delusional.
Tony,
from all this. What happened? Did Tony?
Tony's in the house.
What we got? Oh, look at this.
Oh,
Tony.
Yeah.
$200 super chat from our guy Tony. Wardam. Road wins are so difficult. they're difficult with a review system. I'll tell you that. Yeah. Look at Tony dropping it here. Donovan. We don't want to quickly go by Tony and his contributions, but surprised they called a foul on Auburn in the post-game handshake. Yeah, Asa Newell, by the way, just that guy's a player. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Georgia, they took them to the wire there. But yeah, I'm watching this replay on the clock again, though. I'm so fascinated by this. I don't think that thing started when it should have, but that's just me. It's hard
Auburn,
though, but it's so hard.
An SEC consecutive season, first time ever.
Wow. Yeah. How about that?
Wow.
So,
first time ever.
Big baller Brett coming in, ready to stir the pot. He's on cloud 9. He's saying Georgia got hosed. So yeah. Anyways, this is my theory too, Sam. I just don't know if 0.3 is enough to have a controlled tip where you can. I don't think that's supposed to be that way. But
if you are the clock man, you're operating the clock. You probably Georgia grad or some very, very tight tie into the Bulldogs. If I am that clock operator, you best believe that thing's getting started late.
Oh, there's no doubt.
There's
Right?
no doubt.
You're starting that thing as late as you could possibly start it. Yeah. All right, Max. I'm gonna update our title here real quick.
Yeah.
And then we'll continue.
Zach
on.
is in the house here with a super chat, $5 super chat. Zach continues his streak. It was a Pat Adams rough game. This always happens when Auburn plays a Pat Adams game. Last year, I don't think fan bases closely monitored what referees assign their games. But this year, you're seeing in the pregame, oh, we got this guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's interesting for sure. So, all right.
All right. So you look at the final numbers here. Auburn goes on the road and shoots 10 of 23 from 3, 43.5%, but only 39.3% from the floor. Georgia's interior defense causing havoc. As for Georgia, they're going to look back on this one and they're going to see we went 9 of 20 from the free throw line and lost by 2 points. We had a chance to take down the number 1 team in the nation without their best player, and we shot 9 of 20 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's going to sting.
See, but that's the thing I told you. That's my concern with Georgia is just, man, offensively, they leave a bit to be desired sometimes. And especially, like I said, I mean, they're not going to shoot 45% from the line every game. But it's like, in this kind of game, it's going to be.
Georgia now, they just came a few missed free throws away from having undefeated home season with home wins over Kentucky, Oklahoma, Auburn, Notre Dame. You play at Stegman, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. And just quickly here, I want to pull this up. So, brought this up. Yeah, the person controlling the clock. They're human. It's not going to start on time. And then the fear would be starting it early to cost the game. So, I would I'd work like some AAU, when I was coaching back in the day. It's like I would work like the summer AAU events who would come to our gym. And I'm over there working the clock. And what I hated most was you would get some of those games that, all of a sudden there's 5 seconds left, you're on the clock, and you're just like, uh-oh. Like, oh no. Like, come on, I got to get this right. There's, and so, yeah, I would not want to be the clock operator in those kind of moments. But anyways, so, yeah, I mean, there you go. He was, like, even you could see it, like, down that stretch there. There was a couple of those possessions where he was just trying to get down the floor, Dylan Cardwell. Yep. So, yeah. But, Zach, $5 super chat. Streak continues, which continued a while back. But, yeah, as soon as Broom went out, circling that game, yeah, it was going to be tough. I mean, and that's the thing, right, too. We said Georgia had gotten to the free throw line 38 and 37 times, respectively, in their past 2 home games. Got their 20 in this game and only made 9 of them. Like, that's the difference. So
this is going to be.
What
are you? Yeah, I'd start that.
The refs put .000001 back on the clock. Yeah. Quinn. Oh my goodness, Quinn. Are you back at it again?
Are you joking me?
He told us he was going to do it. Let's not kid ourselves. He told us. He told us it was coming.
Get out of town.
Quinn told us it was coming. $500 super chat from Quinn.
Oh my gosh.
Quinn just paid for Max's Diet Dr. Pepper fund for
That's a month of groceries.
A month right there. Yeah, he did. I mean, Quinn told us. Zach's like, he forgot. He told us he was going to do it. He said, I'm dropping the biggest super chat ever.
Yeah.
Ever. So, he's, hey, $500 to tell us that the refs were horrible. So, we know Quinn is not a big Georgia fan. We know he's an Auburn fan. So, we'll let that slide, Quinn. Don't antagonate anyone else, but, yeah.
I don't think you guys understand how much that helps us out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man.
Yeah. Well.
Really. We really do appreciate you guys.
Also in the chat, I'm seeing that I curse Kentucky. Let's be clear here, all right? I'm the only person who picked Kentucky. And I also picked Kentucky against Texas A&M, and they won. So come on now. Come on. Don't blame me for this. This was not a Southeastern 16 phenomenon. We actually all picked different. So, the Quinn comments. All right. Okay, I'll take it. All right. You can blame me. Hillbilly Shakespeare, you can blame me. That's fine. I'll take it. Brett says I should be fired. Go for it. Go right ahead. Anyone else wants to read the ads, you go for it. All right? Go right ahead. If you guys don't want Sanders Logistics and the 2 new ads we've been teasing, 2 new ads starting next week, fine. So,
think about what games like this, though, will do for Auburn moving forward. Say it's second round, you get that really stingy 8 or 9 seed that has like a top 25 defense. That's just, there's always one of those like nasty 8 or 9 seeds that everyone's like, oh, the 1 seed drew them. Why do we have to draw that 8-9? Broome gets into a little bit of foul trouble, and this year they don't panic. Because they're like, look at what we know. Cardwell will step up. Someone will step up and, take control because of games like this. So it's going to pay off. Yeah.
No, and I keep bringing up the Evan Mia things just because we love Evan's work. But, it was not like Auburn they lost the best player in the country, right now and for this injury. But they had so many other guys that are ranked in the top 20 in the SEC in offensive efficiency numbers, individually. And so it's just like we can't be surprised that these guys just step up and have these kind of games. But yes, look, here's the question, right? Auburn gets the week off. They don't play again until next Saturday against Tennessee. By the way, if you're an Auburn fan just joining in, it just means more members. We are doing the watch along. The next watch along, Auburn, Tennessee,
yes.
Next Saturday night. So, so that is the deal. But James, by the way, you're saying you've reached out sponsorship inquiry.
Hey,
sorry, we'll try to find that for you. Max and I don't get that. We'll have to ask caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. Try again. Just keep sending it, and eventually I'm going to ask her and make sure it gets through. So remember, southeastern14.com. I think you've already sent it to that, but just bringing that up again. Caroline.smith. All right. See if we're getting comments about the Quinn contributing to us. Gene wants him to contribute to the Auburn NIL fund instead of us. All right. Well, come on, Gene. Trying to take money out of our pockets.
Yeah,
so
Gene.
Come on, Gene. Yeah, Sam, by the way, we know we were featured on the Missouri Athletics channel, and Sam, it was very unfair that I got labeled as the anti-Missouri guy because I picked against Missouri on the road against a top 5 Florida team who was favored by double digits, and all of a sudden they turned me into the villain, the Dennis Gates villain. Are you kidding me? Of all the people, you're making me the villain and making Chris Lee the hero with Dennis Gates. Get out of here. Anyways. So, Donovan, if you stream live at the Tennessee game, will you tune in? Sure. We can't play it on the screen. Well, actually, maybe we can. Actually, we probably could play it on the screen. That would be your video. We could play it. But yeah. Anyways, Max, what else in this game here? Auburn, Georgia, coming out of it, as you said. We talked about kind of the wild sequences to end the game, but I think it just goes back to Auburn has so many other guys that can step up at any time and make a big play offensively. I think that's, kind of the story here. And I think that'll continue to be the story as long as Broome's out. But it is a nice spot, as we said, getting a week off now, rest up a little bit, and you're going into your week off 17-1, the top overall seed in the NCAA tournament right now. Your best player's been out the last 2 games. You win, well, basically 2.5. You win all of them, and now you get set for a huge showdown in the jungle against Tennessee next Saturday.
Auburn goes to Georgia. Oh, my gosh. What is going on? Going on? I don't know what to say right now. Guys.
Before we get to that, all right? Can I make this deal with Hillbilly Shakespeare? Can I make this deal that I better pick against Kentucky the rest of the year? Listen, I picked it right against A&M. Have we forgotten that? Have we forgotten that I got that one right?
Get 'em.
Okay, we had the Southeastern 16 kiss of death on Texas A&M or on Kentucky. They won that game. All right, but I understand. I'll think about my picks moving forward. All right, this is the one that Max was just floored by. Kevin.
Oh my gosh.
$500 super chat as well here from Kevin.
Vols fans.
The Vols fans are here. Maybe they'd rather be here than watching the game right now. They're down 8-3, but long way to go in this one in Nashville. But yeah,
Kevin's in the house.
Look at this, Kevin. Man, hey, tremendous. We appreciate this. You guys are the best. The Vols fans entering the super chat. Incredible stuff from Kevin.
Hey, we did say today that the Vols are one of they think by the numbers. When you look at our analytics, by the numbers, Vols fans are up there.
Yeah. What do you know? Look who's here. Christian coming in. Christian, where were you at? You're a part of this means more tier, Southeastern 16, and you were not in the watch along, watching your team play against Kentucky. Where were you? I'm curious.
Hey, Kevin, we'll have a watch along for you next weekend. Big one.
Bruce Pearl's Gucci bag. Yo, Kev, bless my Venmo. Listen, all you people trying to give these guys alternative ways to use their money.
I know.
Let them use their money however they want to use it. All right? If they want to support Southeastern 16, you let them do it. We are not a large network-backed company here. We are independent as it gets. So, let us have the super chat money. All right? Max got to keep his Diet Dr. Pepper fund going to make him do more live streams. That's how we keep going here. So
I could run to the fridge right now and show you the Aldi brand Diet Summit Cola that I've started to get to save a little bit of money. Diet Summit Cola.
You've reached the summit of diet drinks for sure.
You open it and the carbonation's gone in 10 seconds.
Southeastern 16 attracts rich-ass dudes. What's going on? Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what our target audience is here, but it's something. All right. Oh, by the way, if you're an Auburn fan, which, boy, I'm glad Christian joined just at the right time because we've got something good to tease for Auburn fans. Auburn fans, if you're in here, we got something big coming for you next week. All right? Something big coming to the channel next week. Big for Auburn fans. Tune in.
Big.
That's all I'll say. Tony heard that news. He said, give me 200 more. Tony said, give me 200 more here. But we have a very cool something coming next week for Auburn fans. I'll just leave it at that. We'll just tease it. If you're an Auburn fan, you'll want to be on the channel next week.
You will not be disappointed.
Southeastern 16. You will not be disappointed. That I can guarantee you. All right.
Yeah, I think I'm like 0-5 in my guaranteed confidence picks. This is a 110% guarantee you guys are going to like this one.
Christian, I guarantee you'll be watching this, even as an Alabama fan. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. What was I going to say? There was something else I was going to... But again, we have literally been streaming almost 4 straight hours right now. This is like the marathon stream, except that the marathon stream was like more pre-recorded. Max and I have been talking for 4 hours.
Get the Andrew Carr back brace out.
We might need to. Max and I are going to be doing some... We're going to be stretching before the primetime show tonight, for sure. Yes, but there was something else I was going to say. I don't remember what it was. It felt important, but maybe it wasn't. Anyways, continue on.
We were talking about the big tease that's coming this next week for Auburn fans. Well, honestly, all fans. I mean, you're going to want to watch this one.
Oh yeah, this will be good. It'll be good stuff. But some of these comments, just you guys are great. But all right. I truly felt like I had something important to say. Oh, it was confidence picks. You were saying that you're 0-5 in confidence picks. I don't know that I've made a confident pick all season in this league. I'm struggling with my confidence picks right now. So we'll see.
Blake has fallen back in the
guys. I'm
record.
Remember, I was in the lead in our picks for, a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. Today, losing the Kentucky versus Alabama. Chris and Max both had Alabama. I also picked Mississippi State, which Chris picked Ole Miss, Max picked Mississippi State. So if Ole Miss win, which we know Ole Miss is winning this game now, let's call it what it is.
Stop
the way
it.
this is going for me with the picks, Max, it's going to happen. But
so now, Chris and I are 24-7. Blake's 23-8. I mean, this is gonna be a race.
So basically, if Mississippi State loses to Ole Miss, Chris is going to be in the lead. What in the world are we doing here? No, Gene, we were going to get to it. You just got to give us time, man. Currently, GB says with a $5 super chat, 12:39 a.m. in the Middle East, and just woke up the 2-year-old yelling at the TV. War Eagle. That one made you sweat. All right. Now, who are you yelling at? Who are you yelling at, GB? We all know the answer, but I just want you to say it. Who are you yelling at the TV? Who was getting yelled at? Huh? So
just in the past, 2 weeks, we've had Japan, Middle East,
Germany, Middle East,
Germany
Japan.
this morning.
Yeah, we had Germany represented in the watch along. Yeah, we're all over the place. Southeastern 16 worldwide. Yeah, Prestige Worldwide, wasn't that the Step Brothers name? Yeah. All right, we're gonna. Now, Hank, this isn't how it works, okay?
Hank.
It does not work this way, Hank. You can't just put the $sign with the number and it actually go through. Now, if you ever decided to leave us a $1 billion super chat, we're going to round up here, then you would pretty much be the new owner, maybe, of Southeastern 16. But, yeah. So, anyways. Oh, GB, Gene's not going to like that comment about what you're yelling at with the screen. You're not going to like it. But that's all right. Yeah, Tennessee, Vandy, 11-10. What's that?
Go ahead. You're gonna
no, go ahead. I was just giving a quick score update.
I was going to say, without Broome going against one of the tougher front courts, more physical front courts in Georgia, Cheney Johnson plays 35 minutes, goes 1 of 9 from the floor, only scores 2 points. Dylan Cardwell, 22 minutes, only scores 2 points.
Yeah.
You got a total of 4 points from Janai Broome. I know he didn't play. I'm just grouping him in. Janai Broome, Cheney Johnson, and Cardwell. You have 4 points from them. You go on the road and win. I don't care who it is. That's damn impressive.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Because, again, Max and I are almost to the 4-hour mark of straight watch-along/live streams so far for you guys today. There's only been 2 games played. 4 hours. That's the dedication we have for you guys with the watch-alongs. But, all right, yeah, joiners, you did miss a great stream. Go back and watch it after work. You're also a member that just means more. If you want to go back and watch our live reaction of the game, you can do that. So
thank you, Quinn. Yeah. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Kevin.
Goodness, you guys. Save some for tonight.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for you guys.
Save some prime time tonight. All right, I want to see how much we get tonight on the super chats. Because again, that's what helps us do more of these streams. Honest truth. Like the more you guys give super chats, the more we're allowed to do more of these streams and that kind of stuff. So we appreciate you guys.
Because, real quick before we go, just because my head is probably as scrambled as everybody else's.
Yeah.
When are we coming back?
All right. Tonight, primetime reaction. Mark it on your calendars. We are probably coming back right after Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Arkansas, Missouri. They start at 5 Central. Now remember, this is an SEC basketball game. It could go 2.5 hours. It could go 3. Right after those combination of games ends, which we're thinking 7 to 7:15 Central, right? That is the plan. That is when we start our primetime reaction. Some nights we start it later. Depends on the late game. Unfortunately, A&M LSU is probably, for our audience, not the most attractive game right now. Yes, we have Texas A&M fans. Yes, we have LSU fans, but we always try to balance it out. So we're going to go live as that game starts probably. We'll talk about it, but we'll probably wrap up anything on that on Monday. So that's the plan.
Almost always that very late Saturday night game is probably going to get cut off just because it would be like we'd be starting our stream at like 11 Eastern.
Unless it's like what we had last Saturday, Kentucky, Mississippi State. Next week, we got Auburn, Tennessee. Unfortunately, A&M LSU just isn't the biggest game of the weekend. So that's our plan. Come back later with your super chats, your comments, thoughts on the day in basketball in the SEC. We'll talk all about it. Always our favorite show of the day, doing the live stream at night, the prime time when we get to give out our awards, all this other stuff. So, all right, we're going to rest our voices for a little while. We appreciate you guys watching. As always, again, tune in later on tonight for the primetime show. And, again, we appreciate your support. Appreciate the super chats. We'll talk to you again here this evening at Southeastern 16.